everybody knows that San Francisco's got rent control and it's had it for a long time. So you kind of know exactly what you get. And if you can work with it, you can work with it and you're fine, probably. Same with Seattle. They've had it for a long time now, but the Twin Cities hasn't. And so St. Paul just enacted it. Minneapolis has legislature out there that's going to have some sort of rent control. And so, but we don't know. It's so fresh and new. We don't know what's going to happen. Plus, they keep on just putting more and more and more in place to hamstring landlords. It's like, okay, when's it going to end? Where is it? And whatever they do is not good enough. They keep on attacking the landlords. So it's like, well, let's just wait until we see how all of their weapons come out, and then we can see, okay, how can we navigate this? Does it make sense? Are we willing to be in that market or not? So right now we just kind of have a pause really on the market, just to say, let's just see what happens. And it doesn't hit some of the other fundamentals. So why push it?
Yeah. I think it's nice to have other markets,
Yep.
at your disposal, right? Like you can go somewhere else. It's so funny. I think people have a hard time imagining buying out of state when they're first getting started. I was the same way. I wanted to buy in my backyard, right?
Well,
Thinking, why can't...
and I would, sorry to interrupt again, but I would say, yes, that's true. You should buy in your own backyard if it makes sense. Like that's the first place you should look for real estate. It just makes the most sense, but sometimes it doesn't make any sense to buy there. So that's when you got to start shopping.
Oh, yeah. I mean, then to do it like, telling those stories is like you said, a lesson learned, right? Like everything that I first started doing was in my backyard, is managing places right here. And I don't think I would change it. So I tend to agree with you. Like I do think people should be a landlord. And if that means buy the property next to them, great. But I also think that there becomes a time where it's like, all right, let's start looking at other markets that make sense for what I want to do. I also love what you said is there's probably plenty of investors out there who buy in San Francisco, because they know the metrics, they know what they're up against. And it's like, well, it's rent control, but here's my numbers and it works.
Yep.
You could say the same for like interest rates. I always say the interest rate doesn't really matter as long as your pro forma is okay with that interest rate.
Yep.
We would be 1 year ago today, we would be shocked to see the interest rates they are right now.
Yeah.
Last year, right? Like a year ago but now it's like, boom, they're 4 points higher than they were a year ago.
Who would have expected, right? No.
Yeah.
I mean,
but we're still underwriting now to this new rate. If it works, it works. So that's kind of my point is, even if there are weird constraints, even those weird political stuff, as long as it works within your model and your business plan, you can make it work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. St. Paul put the most restrictive rent control in the entire country in place last year. And so that's definitely a challenge. You can't renovate and raise rents. There's lots of things that don't allow a landlord really to take any financial advantage of their investment. So that's definitely hamstrings people. It'll be interesting to see how it works out. It's funny because St. Paul, that you can only raise rents by 3%. Traditionally, St. Paul's had rent growth of just under 2%. And so there's actually no
little room there.
Yeah, well, there's no need for rent control because it's never been a high rent growth market. And out of the top 100 most populated cities in the entire country, it ranks number 99. So it's one of the most affordable places in the country.